All right, Vertigo jumping straight in at the deep end for Sprout. LFO's map pick, so of course they will be starting over on the CT side of things, and in need of a bit of a blinder here. Pistol would certainly be a good way to start it if they are to pull a little bit of magic. The problem is LFO have come in with a pretty clear game plan here, Dean. 2 smokes, 2 flashes, and molly, and it looks like a full B-site execute on the cards.
Yeah, just a straight up hit, keeping things relatively simple here. Not too complicated, but there is heavy presence. You can see the 2 players that'll be able to rotate quickly in from mid. There's one on scaffold and one at the back of the bomb site. Not going to be an easy time at all, as the initial kills all go the way of the CT side. It's Sprout who shut them down. X in the back does a fantastic job keeping himself alive and just being a massive target so that his teammates could all get in position as well and just make that hell. The initial pistol round goes the way of Sprout.
Lovely way to start it. Smooth, clean, keeping it very simple on both sides of the board, really. Nothing too aggressive or proactive on the CT side of things. T's had their execute, but the molly went the wrong way. Tried to go mid-site. The man on 90 therefore had free reign over the site itself, and X taking full advantage of that, as we know he can. A nice swift triple kill to start things off. Alpha seems a little confused about where he's meant to be playing on this rotation, though, as it is the upgraded pistols, no bomb plant, so Techs and Deagles, and lucky, well, his Tech is looking very lucky indeed, finds one before the trade comes in from Stair, and that early pick over towards the B bomb site is going to cause a couple of slightly hurried rotations here from the CTs.
It's been slowed down for now, though, by Looking4Org. With an M4 in play, though, there's definitely still a chance to do some more serious damage. Stair's playing pretty aggressive here around the ramp as well, but in a position at least where he can fall back, as you see. Dropping some flashes, just trying to delay this push as much as he can and make Looking4Org take their time as they work for this ground. Very aggressive stance, though, too, pushing forward in the alley as well. This could be dangerous, as the flashes don't quite work in favor of the CT side, but the damage is done. That's going to let Stair pretty much just clean things up. Exercise still standing for now, but he's on 11 health and 2 opponents to find. Even with this M4, he's going to have a tough time really finding anything else.
Should just converge on his position, and that's exactly what they do. Again, a little bit sketchier, that one. Stair does well to come away with a triple kill. A little fortunate, I think, on those flashbangs not to be punished. But they get through the round. They keep 2 rifles up on the Sprout side of things. It's a decent start for the CTs. And having dealt with that force buy, which was, of course, the pistols, the armor without the bomb plant going down, this one's going to be a little slimmer pickings. A handful of HEs, a smoke picked up. Doesn't look like LFO want to risk any real pistol upgrades, though. Lucky the only man to try his hand with a P250. They've got their eyes on the buy into the 4th round. So this one, they're hoping for a little bit of a cheese. 4 HEs. Potentially up the ramp towards those sandbags, see if maybe they can catch a man off guard there. We'll have to wait and see where they look to deploy them.
The ramp, unfortunately, not on the ramp itself. It doesn't really do any damage, and they're getting cleaned up by those M4s at long range. Just mostly Glocks in play. Clean round, a very clean start to this game in general here from Sprout. I like what we're seeing. We did say Vertigo could be a tough time. They had suffered a heavy defeat to Sangal in their opening round of games. 16-6 was what they lost in that one. And have had a bunch of other 16-6 and 16-7 or so defeats in recent times. So I'm not going to lie, my hopes weren't too high, but this start has given me a little bit of excitement. It's hidden away a little bit. I'm not going to get too far ahead of myself. I'm going to wait and see how these initial gun rounds go, but it's creeping in.
Yeah, you've got to be careful. That early 3-0 can instill a false sense of confidence in teams when the rifles come out and things get much more complicated. First time LFO have had their full buy, 5 AK-47s across the board. A very similar look for Sprout-Zyphon, the only player looking for a little bit of a bonus on that MP9. That's being tagged up over towards the B site. There's prods and pokes all over the map from LFO, trying to not let the CTs breathe, but it's Stair who comes out on top. Initial peek down that ramp. Trade will come in from Exercise. Another isolated 1v1 in mid, but this time it works out for LFO.
Yeah, solid enough trade. 4-on-4 is in the position they'll be all too unhappy with, especially as Sprout are taking a massive gamble and actually stacking 3 back towards B. It does seem like for now most of the focus for Looking4Org is over that ramp side of things. Just lucky in position to hold for that aggression in case the B push came true, and it's a fantastic punish on the initial kill. Unfortunately, decide to stick around, then you have Alpha to stand in, who's willing to take some risks and show what he can do. who goes forward and gets that trade once again.
Sprout are playing a very risky hold here, though. Completely abandoned the A site off the back of that initial B aggression. Only just now starting to rotate a man in towards the elevators, and that's going to leave a decision for Zello. Mollied off initially. Counter molly goes into the plant spot, so that bomb a little bit stuck, but the molly's just not quite in the right spot. So Haji should be able to get it down, in fact, with that molly, but a second comes in, starts to tick away even further. 15 seconds left. They'll press the issue. Bomb down in no man's land. It's all on the kills now for LFO, and there's two. Stare with 8 seconds left, looking to protect that bomb, but he's not got the vision he thought he had. 5. They need to hunt their man down, and they will. Maka with the kill. A team effort from LFO, and they get their first T-side round on the board.
All right, yeah, maybe my excitement was coming through a little bit too early. The money's still okay here, though, for Sprout. It's not terrible. The previous round was a relatively competitive one, so it's not like Looking4Org have built up much economy themselves, so they have a chance to fire right back here. They do have the off-in play this time around on towards XELLOW as well, so we'll see what sort of risks he's going to take in the initial rounds to try and get that initial frag and hopefully go uncontested, which is something they've been struggling with. There, though, he's been pretty successful with the opening kills around ramp. Definitely looking for it again. I don't think we're going to see Looking4Org give it.
I think they've started to smell a rat as well, and potentially suspecting that there is a big green gun somewhere on this map. A very passive hold in mid, looking to utilize the headshot angle behind the generator. A handful of players prodding at the ramp, but not really finding anything. Lucky again trusted initially to solo hold out towards B. Smoke should allow him to isolate this fight onto Lucky if he wants it. Question is, where is the commitment going to be? It looks like LFO are happy to just double back and full commit into this B site with a minute left on the clock. Lacking the util, though. Again, exercise with the molly. He's actually in towards mid, I think. Haji dropping a lot of util out there as well as he flashes over the top. The man on 90 still yet to be cleared. They have finally started to work out he's got to be there, and as Lucky gets the kill, there's a big call to be made for Sprout here. This is a 4-on-5 retake into that B site. No info, limited util. Do you really want to be throwing the kitchen sink at this one, knowing that LFO have had all the time in the world to get into afterplants, knowing there's still a lurk in mid because he was lobbing nades through the window 20 seconds ago? Without that AWP finding a pick, it becomes an increasingly difficult decision to try and commit in. So XELLOW is going to start to back away from this one. And Sprout are going to be forced to concede a second round. The perk being they will hold on to 4 rifles. The buy will be decent enough into the next round. But it is still going to go the way of LFO.
Yeah, it'll be a massive help, as you said, in this next round, but I'm not too sure if they're going to be able to get a weapon over to Lau next. No, doesn't look like it. They'll probably take the eco and not buy up too much more than what they have already just saved over. That would allow them to come out with a relatively okay buy in this next round, as well as having a pretty solid investment with what they've saved over now. But no, it looks like they're willing to back it up with the utility, get the MP9 out as well, and just go all or nothing here, hoping that they can convert it. And, well, you'd want to really, because Looking4Org now over these last couple of rounds, and start to build a bit of an economy on this D side. And again, we've come in expecting that Looking4Org will be the favourites here on Vertigo. So if Sprout let things start to spiral early on, it could be very bad.
Big decision to make, as you said. The early spiral very much on the cards. LFO with a full buy in the back pocket. Question is, can Sprout pull something out here? XELLOW in a good position to have some early impact on the AWP. A little bit of an off angle on this corner as well. That's the support, but oh, they transition in front of each other. Exercise catches the freebie. Zyphon, well, he does well on the fam, has to go 1-for-1, quite frankly, and now Stare is desperately trying to rotate in to support that MP9, trying to buy a little bit of time, maybe, and he catches a man with an 8 out, 2 quick kills, and suddenly Stare has bought himself a bit of a clutch here. Bomb down in no man's land, but Maka's having absolutely none of it. Through the smoke, takes his man down. And these CT holds, I don't know about you, Dean, but they are looking very, very hectic to me. They're not feeling particularly stable, even the ones they get over the line.
No, I mean, they're taking a lot of gambles as well. If we go back to, I think it was the first gun round where they gambled the 3 players away from A over towards B, for example. It doesn't feel like they're super confident in their ability to hold these sites unless they take the risks, which is, I mean, a bit of an issue. So far, the only player who's really performing seems to be Steer as well. We haven't really had anyone else stepping up massively, so things just aren't really coming together. The pieces aren't fitting for Sprout, unfortunately, as Lau and X get spotted above the smoke and taken down. There is still a few more players around B, but there's only Deagles and 5-7 in play as well. Zyphon hits a decent shot, but he is traded immediately, and again, that's fine. I'm sure it is an AK. As long as they keep these trades going, the round should be theirs without too much trouble. Oh, what a shot.
Ooh. 2v3 now. That bomb again looking a little bit isolated. Teammates looking to join up the ramp. I mean, this isn't a foregone conclusion. Alpha with a decent bit of armor as well. I think the T side's starting to realize that as well. They're taking this a little more sensibly, looking to drop a little more util. Isolate these fights. Alpha will look to retreat and give himself a new angle of choice, but that just allows for those mollies to tick away further at the remaining HP of these pistols. 23 health between the two now as they look for whatever exit damage they can find. But again, a couple of nice picks coming out. Zyphon, Stare each finding a 1 deag, but they're still finding themselves locked out of this B site. Still not a lot they can do. Maybe play for an exit or two here. The other big problem is those 2 rifles picked deep into the B site, so there's not even a recoverable rifle for them to go and have a crack at. Maybe just try and grab a man on the exit. There's a nice tag onto Maka. Alpha hoping maybe at this point the bomb will finish what he started, but LFO will have the lead. They will have their 4th round on the board, and if they can get far enough away from that bomb, they will have 3 players staying alive. Indeed they do. So a solid enough result up against the half buy. Able to get through with 3 rifles alive, keep building up that T-side economy and keep building into this early spiral for Sprout.
Yeah, I need to see them turning it around now, really, in this gun round if I want the hope to come back alive. Stare looks fantastic, though, so I mean, that is one thing. We just need a couple players to step up in the system. If Zello can find some form on the op, that would be great as well. And looking to try and get something done on mid. Doesn't expect the second player to be close, but does still get out of danger somehow. Follow up, unfortunately, they don't get to keep the advantage as Stare gets mowed down through the smoke over towards that A ramp. That is quite unfortunate. Zello eats an nade on mid as well. They're being pressured heavily around A and mid, which has allowed the A bomb site to be overrun.
Again, that panic of a stack right coming in from Sprout, and now a panicked old retake through the smoke. Somehow, Lauan-X is doing everything he can to rescue this situation. A double kill again, catching a couple of LFO players with nades out, but being flanked out all the while. Haji's able to find his mark regardless, and this CT side from Sprout is just looking a little bit all over the shop, and you do have to say maybe that's what happens when your IGL is swapped out constantly here, there, and everywhere, but it's looking pretty dire. I think they need to take a pause at this point. I'd like to see them slow things down. Unfortunately, not got much control over the pace when LFO are setting it as relentlessly as they are now, but use that pause, start to think through a couple of ideas, try and come up with something that's going to be a little more consistent for you on the CT side, because so far, they've really struggled to get anything going at all.
It was a drastic change as well. The initial 3 rounds were pretty convincing. A lot of times you'll get a glimpse of what's to come, where the pistols will find some challenges and do good damage with at least within those first few rounds before they get going. But that wasn't really the case for Looking4Org. They were on sleep mode until the first gun round, and then they came awake. So far, haven't looked back. Heavy B stack once again in place. Just leaving Lucky as pretty much always, I believe, to hold this flank and make sure that no one's going to push down behind them. Heavy presence on ramp, one holding passively on mid, so they're expecting the aggression. Looking4Org are expecting Sprout to try and swap things up here, knowing that they're not going to have the greatest of buys and that they'll want to take some risks, or at least that's what you'd presume. The risk they have taken, I suppose, is just this stack towards B. I would have liked to have maybe seen some early initiative, though.
Yeah, it's again one of those rounds, you've got to try something a bit cheeky. I mean, Sprout's entire CT side at this point has been a revolving door of cheeky plays trying to get around on the board, so you've got to give it a crack.
Repeatedly slapping them in the face?
Pretty much. You would say slapping them on the butt on the way out, but they're not making it through the door at the moment. It's just slamming into them. You're dead right. And this one, again, a little unfortunate, you can say. They went for the gamble stack out towards B. Unfortunately, LFO have had a little bit of a prod in the poke. They've decided they like the look of A. They've worked it out. They've executed in, and this is quite possibly one of the dullest rounds of CS you're ever going to get to watch, because it's going to be 5 men looking for exits against 5 rifles who really want to save as LFO get their 6th round on the board. But I think we're starting to get a little bit of a taste now, Dean, of what this is actually going to feel like here on Vertigo, right? You know, those initial 3 rounds off the back of a really nice pistol where Sprout gave you a little bit of hope. They made you believe that maybe there was something in this CT side. And as soon as the rifles have come out, LFO have just started twisting the thumbscrews. They really have. That was a dink through a wall for 25. That's something from Stair, but it's going to be a 5-on-5 save regardless.
6-3 now. The names at the top just swapped sides, did they? That was weird. Might make things.
They have. They're now
confusing.
mismatched.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Kind of random. Yeah, I mean, it's a gun round again, at least here for Sprout coming in. Or should we say, Looking4Org? Their new name, they've swapped names officially. Imagine that, Looking4Org found an org mid-game, Zyphon Sprout off. It's like, don't worry, you can use our old name.
Oh, we have got some players, unfortunately, dropping out. So we will be, I suspect, waiting a little while here while they get this one fixed. Or not. I've said that, and almost immediately we are back in the action. We have got a couple of underfines on the HUD, but that's fine. We can work with that.
It's not often we get a good caster's course. Yeah, I mean, it looked like they were going to have a gun round coming up, no? Oh yeah, there's obviously not a plan to be played here. They are waiting for a restart. Yep, there we go. Take a moment to get the money back to where it needs to be, I suppose. Nope. Berries in? Did they drop Alpha in the middle of the game? This is a slightly strange one. I think we are going to be going to a technical break now here, unfortunately.
don't speak for a couple of weeks. I'll be in his place till he calls and says he's sorry. This situation's on repeat, just like a scratch on a CD. It just gets deeper when you hit rewind. How many nights will you make this decision? Nights ending tears and it's blurring your vision. You know he don't love you, hurt you holding on to. Scream through the phone even though he won't listen. So I'm still at your place, trying to make it okay. He's miles away, I'm left here with you. Say that you just need someone caring for you. When will you see me more than you rescue? I'm feeling kinda used, yeah, like a drug that you take when you're sick of crying all your tears away. Is that all I am? All I want is for you to be happy. You know this ain't healthy. Do I make you happy? How many nights will you make this decision? Nights ending years and it's blurring your vision. You know he don't love you, what you holding on to. Scream through the phone even though he won't listen. So I'm still at your place, trying to make it okay. He's miles away, I'm left here with you. Say that you just need someone caring for you. When will you see me more than you rescue? I'm doing everything he doesn't do, but I'm still not enough. Even your parents know I'm good for you, but I'm still not enough. You wanna be done with him, you're stuck with him, 'cause you don't have the guts. And after all I've done, I'm still not enough. Still at your place, trying to make it okay. He's miles away, I'm left here with you. Say that you just need someone caring for you. When will you see me more than you rescue?
Alright, apologies for the delay, but we are back into the action with LFO looking to make their way through this first half without too many more issues here, there and everywhere. 5 on 5. Looks like we've had the last couple rounds replayed. Zello has got his big green gun out again, and another tag onto Jocko down the ramp has left a couple of LFO players a little worse for wear, Dean.
I mean, I'm wondering if this break maybe could have done a little bit of good for Sprout. The fact that they got a while to recompose themselves after things had been going so badly. Quite a while. What a shot by Maka. Okay. Wasn't too sure if he had actually seen Stirder or not, but clearly he did. Didn't need to continue seeing him for the shot to land, though. And battle about to come in, and Maka once again wins it. Zello looked like he was completely set up to have a fairly straightforward shot.
They're still going for B. 28 seconds left. They're going to work their way up the B ramp. They're going to go straight into the stack here. Two players ready and waiting for this hit. They've got to go in dry as well. They want to pull the fake. It's a 3-for-1, and that is an awful call from LFO. Maka doing all the work up A, hoping to draw the rotations away, but this time the gamble from Sprout pays off. And with just 10 seconds left on the clock, he is going to have to look to save that AWP. Nothing more he can say or do about it. An unfortunate one to go against LFO. It looked like they had everything they could possibly need. But it's Sprout who managed to get their round.
Yeah, maybe break did do them a little bit of good. Not too sure what the actual issue was. I think we had lost Alpha, was it? So they weren't able to include him in whatever discussions were being had. Well, having issues most likely. Clearly they have a bit of a plan in mind now that they've come back and hopefully will be swinging. Rather than completely missing. There. In his pretty standard position that we see him towards at the start of every round. Looking4Org trying to again make their way up this ramp pretty early on and get the punishment. Heavy nades back in towards the sandbags, but not going to do too much right now. But they're getting a lot of ground. They are using a ton of utility to achieve it, sure.
It's going to be a reaggression here. CT side is setting up for it. 3 players in position. Pot flash in. They want this fight. 3 players, in fact, taking the ramp. Zello alone down the lane. He's going to get his opportunity up close and personal. Lands the flick onto Jocko. First man goes down, and that starts to push LFO away from this A site just a little bit. And you can see the CT side know what's going on. They've got a fantastic read on this situation. 3 players now just death falling into mid. And if they catch the timing right here, they're going to catch multiple players waiting for this hit to come through. 45 seconds left. T-side really with no control to work on. A lovely little flick from Zello catches the leg of Exercise. And Sprout seemingly having come alive in that tech pause now, stripping this T-side of any offensive capability into this one. Lucky's still stuck on the ramp. Our next looking to readjust and reposition into that one. And well, they are just going to get picked off piece by piece here. Exercise down to 2, trying to get a little bit of something done. Maka with the bomb on his back, hoping that maybe he can find a little bit of a timing to work his way out into that A site and at least get this bomb down. But he's going to lose all his teammates in the meanwhile, and that means it's a one-man army here up against the world. He will at least get this bomb down, but it's been heard. He's being charged down already. Surely no breathing room in this one, and a missed shot is punished. Sprout have their 5th, and a really revitalized CT side coming in, Dean. Very different look to what we saw before the break.
Yeah, it looks like Lau and X has come alive. Alongside that, though, they're willing to take some more risks with the aggression as we see in, and now that they're actually hitting some shots, that's paying off for them as well. So we'll see if this continues. For now, though, things are certainly looking on the up for Sprout. The economy's still there to fund the buys, though, for Looking4Org. Maka's going to get his op as well, but he's the only one that's really going to have any money left after this round. So Sprout do manage to tie things up at 6-6. They should have a 7th round relatively easy off the back of it. At that point, they'll be in the lead, which would have looked pretty much impossible before that break we had a while ago. So we'll see exactly how it's going to play out. What is going on? I don't think we're live.
This looks like Maka is looking very, very AFK. 12 grand, a Glock.
Fun times.
Not a lot else. So I suspect that everyone's having a little bit of a KZ movement because we're going to get some players dropping out sooner rather than later. Hadji doesn't look too great either, seeing as he's just left the server entirely. It does look like, unfortunately, we've got some extension of the tech issues. I think initially it was actually Sprout who had them. We saw Alpha dropping out, Barry then filling the slot, then Alpha coming back in before we threw to the break, and then they had to replay some rounds. Now it looks like we've lost Hadji, so expect we'll be getting the match medic in again shortly before we can get back into the action.
Yeah, it's one of those best of 3s. It's not separated into maps, it's separated into groups of 3 rounds.
And we get a lovely 5-minute tech pause in between every 3 rounds just to really let it sink in. Hopefully we'll find out sooner rather than later what's going on. Yeah. Fingers crossed we will get some information across. There really isn't a lot to talk about at this point. It's far too early into the series to be making any sweeping assumptions about anything. You've got the initial 3-round spree from Sprout, then LFO looked like they were just going to wipe this map out. Then we go to the tech break, we come back. Sprout looked like a very different CT side, looked a lot more competent, a lot more postured than they did. Wonder if this next tech pause that we're almost inevitably going to get will then cause them to go back to being the floundering mess that they were on the CT side for the middle 6 rounds that we've had so far. But hopefully, while I waffle on about Sprouts, it's completely inconsistent CT side, my wonderful production team will get back to me with if we're going to throw this one to a break or if we're going to wait, because I have no idea how long this pause is going to be. I suspect what we're getting now is the match medic coming in as we are resetting things, and Berry has now died, which is intentional because we don't want Berry in the server. He should be in that coaching slot instead. Just looking, we've got 2 alphas now in the server actually playing slots 6. He's playing for LFO now. We've changed the lineups, we've changed the org, just to keep it interesting, really. Maka didn't fancy playing this one.
Shuffle it up. Yeah, we have just got a bit of news that unfortunately we are going to be waiting a little bit longer while the issues are ironed out. So with that, again, we are going to throw it over to a quick break. Stick with us, guys, and hopefully we'll be back into the action soon.
Is it paused? Is it live? Nobody knows, but we do have a game on our hands. It is 6-all, with Sprout looking much, much better than they were in those opening moments. And XELLOW now looking to take full advantage of a wide swinging T side. LFO just sending 2 players to their deaths, Jocko and Haji. Swinging wide into XELLOW's AWP doesn't feel like the way to go, and they are punished accordingly. So an early 3-on-5 now for Sprout to continue their resurgence in this first half CT side team.
XELLOW continuing to look for these up battles despite the 2-man advantage already in play. The fact that he was continuing to show his presence there, though, will keep Looking4Org on the back foot now as they're trying to pull things back from this 3-on-5, so it will make it a bit more difficult. As a strong setup is in place, XELLOW sticking around in the alley is going to be mollied off, though, so we can't do too much about that right now. There's a teammate in our sandbags as well. There's only 30 seconds on the clock by the time these exchanges play out. There's just not really going to be the time there for Looking4Org anymore to get in onto that bomb site, so they're going to need to be incredibly efficient with these initial entries.
Yeah, and with Alpha playing up close and personal, that's going to be incredibly tough to do. I think they bail out, yeah. Not that Alpha's going to let them, because he looks at the peak over the top of the smoke and starts to strip away what little they were going to save into the next round here. Maka at least able to trade that. That is, well, it's a round. A little bit all over the shop from LFO, if we're being honest. A couple of initial peeks into an AWP, just giving him free aim practice, if nothing else. He picks those 2 off relatively freely. And then they slowly wind the clock down, doing not much of anything before realizing that they haven't got any time left anyway. So they're just going to be forced to save. And it's left their economy in a bit of a precarious spot, if we're being honest. There's a little bit of money floating around, so they will be able to get the buy into the next one. But for LFO, considering how dominant their initial T rounds looked, this is a real shock and a real turn up for the books. Feels like they very much need to change the pitch here, and an aggressive run boost catches Lau and X completely unawares. He drops a nade onto himself in his confusion. Does damage to himself Pokemon style when he's confused, but does manage to get away with it, manages to reset into the B site, and forces again LFO into a relatively standard default.
Yeah, which hasn't been working out too well for Looking4Org over these past few rounds. It'll be interesting to see when they start to make some adjustments of their own. Now the Sprout have done so. Pushing the up off the angle at least, and the wall bang in on towards Stair. Not sure exactly how they knew he was there. Must have got the vision before as Joko follows up with a second. They might just continue to push the issue here. One more player spotted in on that bomb site towards the headshot angle, but the smoke goes down. So the nade damage I don't think is going to stop Looking4Org at this point, as they even have a player in mid to cut off this rotation. Although Lau and X gets himself a kill, Zyphon's going to catch the timing on Exercise, and suddenly we have a 3-on-3.
And we play that age-old game. Where is the bomb? Bottom of the A ramp is the answer today. Maka will be forced to go and recover it. And now, as those smokes start to fade, they haven't got the utility to replace them. We've wasted a good 30 seconds getting that bomb back in towards this site. There's HEs available to try and stack up against the planter as well. Bomb in the hands of Maka, though, will get his freebie. Lowen swinging a little bit too wide, manages to punch the digits in before the HE start to land, tags him down to 18, but that won't be enough. Smoke goes out for the CT side in the 2-on-3. Zyphon and Alpha thinking about giving this one a go, but instead it's the AK salvaged for both of these players, the retreat into the relative safety of the B bomb site. And this game is absolute carnage. You have to say it's getting very scrappy towards the back end of this first half, but LFO will be grateful to get that round on the board, get a little bit of something to work with. Jocko with a couple of very nice entries up the A ramp, and an opportunity with that CT economy still relatively on a knife's edge. If they can take this next one, get a 9-6 half on the board on their map T side, that's not a bad result at all.
No, I think both teams are in an okay position right now. Sprout have had a solid recovery from what was a really slow start. Obviously, they're going to want to add maybe one more round at least to be really happy with how the half has gone, but they've turned things around for sure. We've seen them all start to find some individual form as well, which looked to be one of the bigger issues early on. Looking4Org have given us a little bit there to be excited about once again. We'll see if that continues as Maka catches Lowen as he puts that molly down, willing to take the few points of damage that it cost them. Give a very early open, and then Zello, I think, burning wherever the hell he's at as well, down towards 36 health. Things are not looking good for Sprout early on.
Nice pick from the AWP of Maka. It's what we like to see him do, playing that dynamic AWP's what he does best. And Jocko again, raining down havoc on the A ramp. Finding himself a lovely little vein of form, just what the doctor ordered for LFO. Buys his team a 3-on-5. At this point, should be a relatively simple affair again. Just about grouping up, executing cleanly. As once more, Sprout have gone for this gamble stack over towards the B site. Two players, one in towards mid. They are going to abandon A, and we've seen this from them consistently. So at this point, LFO should have a pretty decent read on what happens when we get into these advantageous 4v5, 3v5 situations. Bomb starts to make its way up the ramp, and indeed, as the execute starts to come in from LFO, it's going to be into a wide open site. CTs will likely be saving for the last round of this first half because they have got no money left in the bank at all.
Save isn't even going to be easy with Lucky's position. Should at least have to drop on one, potentially more. He has the first. The second won't be allowed by Alpha, but he does still take quite a bit of damage. So if Looking4Org want to, they can send further players out hunting for this, and that looks to be the case. Make things a bit more complicated. The molly makes it extra spicy if they do want to push through now. Might actually
flank coming in as well.
But yeah, as you said, time should still allow for this flank to get into position. They're just waiting it out. Stair gets himself one through the smoke, but it's damage Looking4Org can afford, and Sprout on the other hand cannot. Alpha, he might just hang on, but he's going to need this final kill most likely, and there it is. He takes out Haji and will hang on to the AK in the end. It's one weapon at least carried forward, but it cost them a lot. To be able to drop an M4, actually dropped an op over. Okay, cool. So Zello gets that into his hands, and some FAMASs and MP9s are going to be going around.
I like the call. It's been where a lot of that CT success has come from, right? Zello getting picks on the AWP, playing proactively with it, so getting it in his hands again, try and replicate some of that. It's not a bad decision by any means. The problem is there's sacrifices all over the shop elsewhere. Lowen MP9ing, Stair MP9ing, Zyphon FAMASing, and LFO looking to pile on. The pressure do end up wandering through a molly somewhat there. A lot of damage done to Haji in these opening moments, the kind of damage that an MP9 can do a lot of heavy lifting towards. Molly will go in, counter util is good though. Lowen able to escape up towards B as Zello once again wants to have some impact on this AWP. Nice HE damage over on B. There is chaos going on everywhere on the map right now. And it remains for the time being a 5v5.
Yeah, early damage exchange, but as you said, no frags fully taken as of yet. Looking4Org group towards the ramp. Yeah, that push down B is going to give it away. Should be able to rotate players into position here. Zello, the first line of defense with the op as well, does indicate that they are at least up close already as the op battle comes through, but Zello overextends, pushes right into the scope of Maka. Another entry goes the way of Looking4Org as they move in, and things are just not working out for these weaker weapons. The SMGs do their best and pull back a couple of kills, but it's going to be an incredibly difficult retake, especially with no utility and no kit.
Couldn't afford Zello to go down that easily, I think, is the ultimate problem here. Zyphon now with a FAMAS out of heaven. He's got to try and pull off the impossible. Bomb is well planted for the T-side after plant as well, open to the ramp, so with no utility, Zyphon and Stare going to be forced to take these fights. Lucky, first one up on the chopping block. Stare will keep the pre-fire going to take him down, and this starts to get a little interesting now as Maka peeks wide, will expose himself for just a moment, but it's 9-6, and LFO recover as we head to the halftime break.
You love it, you wear it. What's your style? Get your merch at shop.eslgaming.com.
Break up, don't speak for a couple of weeks. I'll be in his place till he calls and says he's sorry. This situation's on repeat, just like a scratch on a CD. It just gets deeper when you in.
Piecemeal first half, but it is LFO who take the lead 9-6 as they head over to the CT side of Vertigo. An opportunity to get this one shut down before it gets too spicy, and before we head to that second map, of course. Faster play from Sprout in these initial moments, though, as they work their way up this A ramp. There's Julies to face them, but Stare has ripped the head clean off the first, and Maka got to be a little bit careful now with Exercise recovering the dual Berettas that he doesn't die going too proactively down the ramp. Does opt to back away at the last possible moment, and a little bit of a stalemate in the 4-on-4. That is a genius play from Sprout. The footsteps bait the CT side almost entirely away from the A site, and it allows Sprout to plan out their execute at will. Maka on the Julies is trying to swarm in as quickly as he can. The footsteps surely to be heard, though, as Alpha then Stare take a frag apiece, and suddenly 2-on-3, that bomb will go down around the edge of the smoke. Spam from Exercise, not quite connecting on these dual Berettas. And again, lacking util to make this retake a reality. Hadji now dinked on down. This is looking better and better for Sprout. Someone needs to change the picture. Exercise trying to be that man for his team, but it's a one and done as again Hadji, with just 16 HP, has got to pull off what is surely the impossible here. Tapping away, looking for what he can, but it's never going to happen. 7 on the board. Sprout continue their pistol round success.
Yeah, I mean, Hadji may as well just save the Kevlar forward at this point. Again, we get a little bit of life. We're getting kind of bursts of 3 to 6 rounds from either team before the other one comes back and shows a little bit of their own success. We did see a similar affair in the first half, though, of course, where Sprout got that pistol. They had a clean initial 3 rounds and then just kind of lost all life once the guns actually came into the hands of Looking4Org. So we've got to wonder if something similar could happen, or maybe Looking4Org want to try and spice it up with a force buy and see if they can force the issue a bit earlier. But no, happy enough to just go for the eco. Even Hadji has the USB, the Kevlar saved forward, but is happy to stick to the USB. Didn't even want to put a P250 into play. Doesn't really have the economy for it, in fairness, if they want to buy next round, but it is just an interesting little thing. It's not too often you see Kevlar and no pistols upgraded.
I think it comes from maybe a little bit of respect for Sprout. Their T side is their by far best side here on Vertigo, so maybe just knowing that this is going to get tougher before it gets easier, knowing that having the rifles into round 3 could be of great value rather than chancing your arm with a force, knowing you're coming up against majority rifles, in this case just the 1 MAC-10 for Zyphon, and hoping that a very unique boost, I will say, not one that I've seen pulled out before, maybe finds a little bit of purchase and maybe gets something done. Unfortunately, the bomb is working its way out towards B, and much like Sprout's initial CT stacks on these ecos, it's not going to be tested. The utility goes out, at least a little bit of money spent by the T side with those mollies coming in, and the B site is taken freely.
Yeah, not really much that could be done about it. They took the risk, they took a gamble, which I liked. If it hadn't been a push-up ramp, they likely would have caught 1 or 2 players off guard and potentially stolen some weapons, done some further damage, or who knows, maybe even got something out of it. Instead, they took a risk, it didn't pay off, and at the very least, they should have Hadji's Kevlar to save forward again. It'll actually help a little bit in this next round where the utility...
I mean, they might not get anything, because Zyphon is about to charge through with a flashbang and a MAC-10, and there is a lot of bodies here waiting for him. Yeah, this is starting to get real ugly for LFO. 3 kills. That Kevlar that we were hoping would be saved across is gone, and the USP's no armor at this point are running away to try and make sure they don't die to a MAC-10. It's a little bit comic relief from LFO, but the round is done regardless. It's 9-8, and for the first time we should get to see what they're really made of on the CT side of Vertigo. By either. 5 rifles. The utility is going to be the issue. Always is when you opt against that second round force buy. M4s prioritised over util on this occasion, which gives that T side a little bit of something to leverage. Having kept all 5 rifles up in the previous, able to reinvest heavily into the utility, pull a little bit of a bonus round out of their back pocket. Counter is pulled. Every cheeky play in the book being pulled out by LFO. Initially a little bit of a one-way smoke over a molly down the side lane this time. Going to boost a man up with the spam to protect his position initially. and near enough a complete gamble stack out of this B site because Hadji has snuck himself into a corner and Lauanex has no idea he's here. So Hadji's just going to play the info game here. I think hoping to draw more attention than he has in these opening moments. Finally has to pull the trigger, gets rid of Lauanex, but it's going to be this hit in towards the A side. Finally, the boost pays off for Maka, and it pays off in a big way. Strips him down into a 3-on-2. Their position now known on the CT side, but there's 2 men there, and they trade it cleanly down. The pre-fire from Maka connects, and LFO finally get their CT side rolling. Double digits on the board, 3 rifles saved across, and something to get them moving in this second half of Vertigo.
Apologies, my vMix connected back before my Discord there. Yeah, had a random PC crash. Hopefully that doesn't happen again. Didn't get a blue screen or anything. It just restarted itself out of nowhere. Very strange. Either way, looks like I did miss a little bit, as it's now Looking4Org who seem to have themselves control of the situation. Although again, I come back at the perfect time. We have a pause going. Was it a tactical this time around?
I think it must have been.
It seemed like that was the case. We're fortunate.
It wasn't. It was actually just... What? Oh, wait. Here we go. So, Sprout called a tactical. I'm reading the logs here. And then LFO have called a technical. Now, it doesn't look like a massively long-term one. So, we'll keep our fingers crossed that it doesn't take too long to get this one resolved for us. Has been a little bit of one of those games, unfortunately. Happens in the online era of CS. Things don't always go according to plan. People's internet drop out, spill tea on your keyboard, all those classic onliner problems. Hopefully they will get resolved sooner rather than later, though, and we will get back into the action. Because it's a good old buy for both sides here. This could be one of those big swing rounds in this second half. Sprout take it over the line. They really start to assert themselves. Their T side starts to build momentum, and it's Looking4Org trying to push back an avalanche. But I think LFO will know, based on that first half's proceedings, that if they can establish themselves early here, if they can push for a nice clean one, get these rifles out the way once from the T side, it's not going to take too long for them to just start rolling through, getting those remaining rounds done and dusted.
Yeah, in fairness though, with the side of Sprout we've been seeing here on Vertigo, I am hopeful for their performance going forward on Ancient and Inferno. They haven't looked terrible, this just isn't one of their best maps. It has been very inconsistent for them in general. Looks like the pause has been removed anyway, so we're ready to get back into it now.
Lovely stuff.
Pretty solid investment on both sides as well. I mean, some weaknesses, the utility could be slightly better, although they still have money, so they should be buying up the rest of the nades there for Looking4Org. And then Sprout, on the other hand, just have a small weakness, I suppose, with one Galil in play in the hands of Alpha.
It's not the worst situation in the world for a T side, though. That Galil's still perfectly serviceable, especially with Maka sacrificing the head armor. Still plenty of potential for it to do some damage, and it's going to get its chance as well, working up this A ramp very swiftly. Sprout, we've seen this from them a couple of times, wanting to take the fight to the CTs as soon as possible. The util exchange, flashes go in, they want to try and counter here on the CT side, but the spam through the smoke is good, blinded or not. Alpha's Galil does find first blood, and the spray down good for the second. Maka now out in no man's land, is absolutely trapped. He's being tagged down slowly but surely through the smoke, and there's the kill. And as soon as they get it, they just disconnect. LFO wanted that brawl on the ramp, they got what they asked for, and they were demolished by it. Lauanex, this time, without Hadji there for the backstab, will work his way for free in towards this B site. The bomb will make its way back around and go down freely, and at this point, it should be a save for the CTs. 9 on the board for Sprout, and this is a revitalized T side.
Yeah, again, it's like every time there's a pause, they flip their switch on and off, so it's their turn again to have some success. Eventually, if there's no more pauses, they can keep it going. Doesn't look like there's going to be much of a hunt going for these remaining 2 weapons either. I don't think they're too interested in taking them away. Even with the 2 M4s being saved forward, the economy's still going to be pretty poor for Looking4Org. Sprout shouldn't have a lot to worry about apart from these saved weapons. Although they could maybe force the issue if they want, since Maka will have enough to buy, but it would be a risky investment. We'll see exactly what they want to go for. Right, we are keeping it competitive. In fairness, though, they have won out both of the pistol rounds. So in the gun rounds, success has mostly gone towards Looking4Org, but Sprout have kept themselves in it, and I mean, that's all that really matters. If they can start winning out some of these important swing rounds now, then they could definitely propel themselves towards that finish line.
The CT economy is always a precarious thing in the current meta, and you can see it here. Timeout called by LFO as they try and work out how they can stitch it together, if they even want to commit to it, because as you look down that CT side, Maka, sure, he could invest, but he's not going to get the AWP. Would have to be a rifle. Exercise could maybe drop across to Jocko, but it would be another scrappy buy. It would be another one where they've not quite got the nades to play how they want to play. They're playing on the back foot before the rounds even started, and we've seen how they want to play this CT side LFO. They've been pushing, they've been proactive, they've been looking for fights. You need utility to sustain that. And so I think the only decision they can realistically make at this point is, save it up. Let the two rifles of Exercise and Hadji go to work, see what they can find, and hope that maybe, just maybe, they can nab a couple of rifles on the extremities of this map and use that to then grab a couple of rifles into some of the pistol players, maybe start to spiral things out of control from there. Otherwise, well, you're looking to live to fight another day.
Sprout aren't given an inch, though. They know even with this much weaker investment, a couple of weapons could still cause a lot of trouble. Even the pistols themselves chew as Lowen finds the opening kill. If he goes to find the head again, did he spot him? No, not quite. As he comes in, though, it will indeed be a decently controlled AK spray there to finish him off. Strange battle brought out that 5 health as well, and Maka did recover the rifle to try and put in some more damage, but he just can't get it done. The T-bomb site is being overrun. Stair creeps his way up the A ramp in the meantime to catch the back of the players rotating, and on Hadji, and he's been hunted. Gonna get 1 kill, which doesn't really mean too much at this point. Taking out a play. It was again just the 2 saved weapons, though, so I mean, 1 kill is better than nothing, but the economy's still there for Sprout. The 1 reinvestment isn't going to cost them too much. They have enough in the bank for a buy if needed. And they've tied things up at 10-10.
I think you can fairly safely make the argument that if you've saved 2 rifles, you're looking for 2 kills as a minimum, right? So I think that is still a little bit of a letdown for LFO. They would have been hoping for more. 2, 3 kills would, start to put the economy in a backwards position for Sprout, which is exactly what they need. As this buy comes in, though, the pressure right back on the CT side. Spam through onto Zello. Does find some connection down to 45. Not quite the kill. So there's going to be some cheeky plays from Sprout as well. HE stack forces Exercise out of his position of choice. Will have to replay towards the back of sight. And Sprout are going to abuse that, knowing that they've cleared out the initial of the close angles. They look for the boost up. Managed to make a mess of it the first time. Managing to make a mess of it the second time. Alpha, of course, the stand-in, the new boy on the block, doesn't quite know his lineups as well as Sprout would like, but the counter-aggression's been read here and beautifully read by Stair. Almost hung his AWPer out to dry, but manages to pivot just as Lucky wants to push on through. And that's the man advantage turn 2 as Lowen takes advantage of the mispositioned Exercise over on B, and this is going from bad to worse now. Lowen, he's out on B, and anything else he can find as a bonus finally put down with Maka finding a pick over on A. Suddenly, this one does start to pivot just a little bit. Alpha working his way around this flank with Jocko now tagged down low as well. This is going to go back the way of Sprout. Surely Alpha gets a free double kill here. Nobody is looking for him. They've only just started to realize this is a possibility. There's the first. He's going to play the trigger discipline, and it's an easy double up for the new kid. Maka's pick, nothing to say for it. And a 1v2 for the AWPer out towards this B site. The chaos reigns supreme for Sprout, and I don't think Maka wants anything to do with it.
Since Alpha reconnected at, I believe it was a 6-3 scoreline, he's managed to go 14-3. He is having a fantastic performance and really has been one of the main players that's allowed for Sprout to turn things around from what looked pretty bad early on. Alongside Lowen, Stairs kept up a pretty solid performance as well. Zyphon's had his moments. Zello's been a bit quiet, although he did have a few rounds after they came back, which turned the initial tide, so everyone certainly contributed. As Maka just looks to save the op, Sprout are going to put themselves into the lead now and should have a 12th round likely going their way before the real buy can come into play here for Looking4Org. There'll be a few pistols maybe around this up, but I'm not expecting much more.
Alarm bell's starting to ring for LFO, I suspect. As we said, this is a good veto for them, so that second map, not bad by any means, but considering the statistical difference between LFO and Sprout on this first map, if they lose it, it's going to feel very, very tough to come back from. As you said, upgraded pistols around the AWP of Maka really becomes up to him to be the difference maker in this one. Takes it out towards B initially. Looking to mix it up a little bit. Hasn't played too proactively with it though. An initial peek towards the B ramp, hoping maybe for someone to overextend. Nothing seen, nothing given, so he'll back out. Look to instead occupy towards mid, as the majority of Sprout are working their way up towards this B site hit. Plenty of presence here. The utility over the top and Exercise, you've got to feel bad for him. He's going to have to try and bail. Sets himself up on any kind of an angle he can find, but the flashes are good. The mid-rotation's already starting to be cut away by Zyphon, and with Maka not hitting his first shot, this one feels like it's a foregone conclusion. The AK is just chipping away slowly but surely at the backs of pistols as they look to retreat. 12. Pretty much an inevitability. You never fully want to jinx it as a caster, but as Stare finds his mark onto Exercise, it should just be a matter of stripping away these remaining bits and pieces if Sprout want to commit to it. Given their economy, you could understand them wanting to build up a little more bank in the back pocket, being happy to let that AWP save across again, because quite frankly, it's not had too much impact since it came out.
Yeah, and I mean, with the loss bonus going as well, Maka, I think, will be able to buy one anyway, so sure, they take it away, but really all they're doing is ensuring that he doesn't have a little bit of extra cash in the reserve. So I think it's worthwhile. As you said, sure, they have decent money themselves already, but it's 12-10. There's still a few rounds where things could go wrong. If they can have as stable of an economy as possible, then that's a big up. So happy enough to just keep everyone standing. 12-10, it's going to be a full gun round now coming through, as we said. Maka will get a good set of utility behind his op. He can grab a helmet if he wants. I don't think he's going to really bother with that, rather, since they're up against the AKs. There's only one M4 carried through by Alpha, which he's been rocking for a while. We'll see now if that comes back to bite him, maybe.
Just initial util up the ramp, but this time Maka will get his spot. Peering down into the depths of A main. Seems the call is to play proactively across the board for LFO. Peeking down the ramp with Maka on A, smokes out on B. Zello's going to play the fade, and it's going to betray him. Maka, first time in a while he's had that opening advantage out of the AWP. Really has been one of the star players for this LFO lineup here on map 1, so good to see him getting an early pick. And it's really funneling Sprout now in towards this B site. They're going to give the boost another crack here. Alpha this time manages to get himself spotted, popped in the right spot, but Exercise is ready and waiting for it, watching exactly where that boost would come to fruition, takes out the free kill. And at this point, 3v5 should be relatively difficult to lose this for LFO. In all reality, Exercise just needs to remain posted. Can use that smoke if he wants to reposition as well. Angle's well established for the CT side, and at this point, yeah, it's just about maybe chipping away. Alpha does manage to at least catch Exercise, a little bit of a gap in the smoke to try and exploit, and that's going to drag a second rotation, but again, the utility available, and with just 30 seconds left on the clock, should be relatively well placed on the CT side to deal with this. Jocko inside of the site, Hadji fast rotate over Heaven, and with just a handful of flashes remaining for this T side, that one smoke from Zyphon is going to have to try and get him into a plant if they want to try it. Jocko and Hadji, though, remaining posted. There's the smoke, and there's the kill. Alpha catches Hadji completely unaware as Stare finds another, and suddenly Sprout have found their form again. 4 on 3, turn 2. As Lucky, thinning the numbers, does what he can, but he leaves his AWP Maka, the hero for LFO so far. 1v2 as he misses his second. Tag down to 34. Zyphon repositions, puts himself on an off angle, actually drops down entirely. Maka has the kit, can look to stick this if he wants it. Taps instead, tries to bait Zyphon into the peak, but the flick misses again, and now Zyphon, with a decision to make, is not going to peek it in time. The stick has landed, and LFO get the miracle round.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even think it was in much of a position that he could see from there, was it? The plant?
It didn't seem it. He
Yeah.
kind of had a jump peek angle onto it, I think, but not enough.
Yeah, not a way to properly take the fight and play the time on the bomb. I think it was a little bit of a miscommunication. Although he didn't, it looked like he didn't intend to drop down initially when he was jumping up on the wooden panel, I think he accidentally jumped another time while he was already on it and made noise, and at that point was like, yeah, okay, I better bail and not leave myself here as an open target for the op. And then things just kind of went south, as we see, and it gives a lifeline back to Looking4Org. They get an 11th round. Their economy doesn't look great though, so the buy back into this round is, well, it's got all the weaponry at least and decent utility, but it leaves them with absolutely nothing in the reserve. So if Sprout managed to come back and take this round immediately afterwards, then it's going to be trouble for Looking4Org, and I think they realized that. We did have a tactical pause. I'm not sure who by, but I think both teams will probably appreciate the time. It was LFO.
LFO take it. It's understandable, isn't it? As you said, the economy's right on the edge of being solid, so looking to work out exactly what they want to buy, exactly how they want to play this. Certainly not sustainable to rely on a 1v1 ninja defuse to be getting your rounds through. They want to play proactively again, at least in these initial moments. They are trying to set themselves up for these peaks. There's CSGO though. Ready and waiting for that one. Lucky gives him the freebie. LFO, that aggression from the previous round, try to replicate it, and this time it is punished to the fullest extent. Lau and X spotted as well. He's able to drop off before he takes any real damage, and with that opening man advantage, Sprout again just starting to pull the strings of the defense in terms of rotations. Maka, for now, cutting a very isolated figure on the A ramp itself, not even in a passive spot. He's got a man close to him on the left instead who's watching for the alley peek. And Maka is still sticking around on this one. He wants these fights, gets himself one, but surely that's it. And indeed, CSGO is there for the trade. One and done out your star AWPer just doesn't quite feel like enough for LFO. They're going to scramble to try and get some placement inside of this A site. But only 2 players here to receive with 45 seconds left. The utility locking all sight lines out. Not that it matters for Jocko. Spam through. Buys just a little bit of time. And maybe, just maybe, a way for LFO to get back into this one. They want to contest it. Pop flash through. They'll realize the A site is empty. But where is that bomb heading? Slowly but surely, it's trying to work its way back towards B. And hoping that Zyphon can maybe cut the rotations. Or is it? They fake the footsteps. They fake the play. Jocko gets the pick on mid. But that bomb is going to work its way back up towards a relatively undefended A site.
Yeah, but now they're outnumbered, and as you can see, there is one player moving in. CELLOW is going to shut him down. Joko moving a bit too soon, perhaps. Wanted to try and put in a little bit more damage, rather than keeping the advantage that they would have had in play for this retake. Now it's down to Exercise and Haji to pull off the 2-on-2 retake. They don't have a kit in play. The nearest one I can see immediately anyway is down on the ramp, as you can see in the view of CELLOW. As the smoke goes in towards the bomb site, Alpha standing his ground. The off angle will give him at least one, and it is successful, but now it's the up against the player in the smoke. As I said, though, no hit. The nade goes down. The Glock could finish him as the damage has been done, and there you go. With about 3 or 4 seconds, I'd imagine, judging by the bar at the top remaining on that defuse, he will be taken out.
One of those situations where a defuse kit, that little bit extra bit of economy for the CT side, could have made all the difference. Another round. I mean, we said it, it's not consistent to rely on ninja diffusers to get your CT rounds going. They go for it again. This time they're punished. Economy is in tatters. It's a decent half buy, but not a lot more than that for the LFO boys. And for Sprout, this is going to be a massive confidence builder now. They actually take the time out to work out how to shut the door on this one. Opposition's map pick. A map they're not particularly confident on. A map that all the statistics lean towards LFO in. Golden opportunity for them to take the momentum. Just 3 rounds required, and this one should be a lock-in. Handful of pistols. Haji on an MP9. It is going to take something spectacular from the Frenchman if they want to make this one stick.
Control now for Looking4Org. Gonna have one more real gun round, and if that doesn't work out, then likely they're going to be down a map. We'll be heading on towards Ancient with Sprout in a solid position, going on towards their own map choice, which was not something we were expecting coming into this series. They've been helped by the fact that the pistol rounds have gone well for them, but they've also been very good at adjusting, making the changes when needed when things do begin again to go wrong. They've had some fortune on their side, but that's always the case in Counter-Strike.
Gotta ride your luck. Aggression down B, though, for LFO has started to reveal that this is going to be an A-site hit before it comes in. 55 seconds left. They pull the trigger. There is going to be presence, and that nade does a huge amount of damage. 3 players tagged down heavy. Starts to open up the potential of these pistols, and indeed the SMG's up close. An early 1-for-1 trade. You can see Alpha tagged up desperately low. Zello is trying to protect that bomb planter, and they're just about holding on to it here. Tapping away at the head. Zyphon gets the job done. Could have got very, very sketchy there for a moment. You could see those tags being converted on and how the round could oh so quickly spiral away. But LFO, I think, just getting that read a handful of seconds too late. If they were there 5 seconds earlier, it's a completely different round, but just a little slow to the mark. Gives Sprout their 14th, and this is it now. LFO on their map pick. This is a must-win round to keep their hopes of taking map 1 alive.
Exercise is on a mad one right now. He's angry. Things have not been going well. They need something, but it's not going to work out. It's backfired, and things have just spiraled out of control completely. This round is almost over before I can even catch a breath. Honestly, I don't think I took a single breath in that round.
Didn't have time. Didn't have time. The oxygen just evaporated from the room as just picks taken all over the shop. LFO tried to be proactive. That's been how their CT rounds have come to them, is when they played in that aggressive way and looked for those early kills. But Sprout are reading it now. They're ready and waiting for it. A nice double peek into B, trades out that initial play. Zello is well positioned to trade out his teammates' deaths up the A ramp, just consistently chipping away on that AWP. I think he's disconnected at some point, so his stats are somewhat misleading, but he's looked very, very solid. The pause
Alpha,
comes in at 15. And Zello as well, I think.
Zello
Alpha's flying.
Yeah, Alpha did disconnect at some point, and I don't know if he had any kills before the disconnect.
We'll have to wait and see for the post-game stats, but this last buy coming in for LFO.
He just went to reset his deaths. That's why we had that technical pause.
Yes.
He's like, you know what, this
Make
hasn't
the KD
started
look
well.
better.
Yeah. Doesn't help for his HLPV, unfortunately. As a desperate round is needed here from Looking4Org. 4 in a row for overtime. It's achievable, but it's not looking like it's going to be achievable right now, unfortunately. Leonex takes 2 of them as he charges into B. Takes the bomb site completely, and with panic and flustered players everywhere else, unfortunately, they're going to make similar mistakes as they push into the weight and arms of Sprout. It's a 5-on-2. This looks like it's done and dusted.
2 MP9s. To pull off the impossible. They're spotted as well. A 1-for-1 trade just isn't quite enough. And Maka, he's been the shining light for this CT side, but he's not going to be any more than that. It is Sprout who take their opposition's map pick. They take Vertigo. And what a way to do it as well. I mean, that map just didn't have LFO showing up, if we're being very brutally honest, right? Maka pulled up a couple of very, very big rounds on the end.